Welcome to In the Arena, the podcast where politics and policy come alive. I'm your host, Mindy McAlinden, and we're diving deep into the issues, the power plays, and the strategies that shape our world. Whether you're a political junkie or just curious about how things work behind the scenes, this is the place to be. So get ready to jump in the arena. Joining me today in the arena is Representative Mary Bentley. Representative Bentley is serving her sixth term in the Arkansas House. She represents portions of Yell, Pope, Perry, Saline, and Conway counties. Mary has practiced as a nurse for over a decade in the cardiovascular intensive care unit at Arkansas's Children's Hospital. She is also the owner and CEO of Bentley Plastics in Perryville, Arkansas. In the General Assembly, Representative Bentley serves as the vice chair of the House Aging Children, Youth, Legislative, and Military Affairs Committee, which is kind of a catch-all committee, and she also serves as the House Public Health, Welfare, and Labor Committee. She is one of the founding members of the National Association of Christian Lawmakers, and she currently serves as the president of that council. So, Mary, why don't you join us?
Welcome, Mindy. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, Mary. You came into the legislature, 11 years ago?
Yes, ma'am, 11 years ago.
And you have really made a difference and an impact on our state, and I am grateful for what you have done. But let's start at the beginning. What made you want to run for office?
Well, I own this little company called Bentley Plastics, and we manufacture something called Bentley drinkware. So it's all out of plastic, and we were just had invested everything to make sure Bentley Plastics would get up and run. And something happened in 2008. A certain individual got elected. And Barack Obama got elected. So we started hearing all these things about electricity rates doubling and my insurance costs going through the roof. And when you manufacture a plastic cup, you have these people that you compete with called China and other countries. So I thought, well, we're a small company, family owned, so I do all the work. So I looked, I thought, if my electricity rates double, I am out the door. There's absolutely no way I can compete and continue to be in the market. So I started listening to this crazy guy called Rush Limbaugh on the radio and just hearing about what my local Congressman Vic Snyder was doing. So I thought, well, I guess I'll just call Vic Snyder and let his kind staff know what I'm doing. So when I called Vic Snyder's office, they weren't very kind to me. So let's just say they thought I was an absolute idiot to think that doubling electricity rates would put a manufacturer in America out of business. So anyway, I just was very disheartened by the reception I received at Vic Snyder's office, and I found out about this guy named Tim Griffin that was running against Vic. So that was my launch into campaigns. I had always just followed Arkansas Right to Life, and whoever they said was pro-life, they got my vote, and that was really all that I knew about politics. Very little. When you're a busy mom and you're raising kids and you're running a company, there wasn't a lot of time for politics. But I really thought it was very important at that point that we get engaged and involved. So I started knocking doors and writing letters to the editor and things I had never done before. And in the process, met Senator Jason Rapert, who was running to be the first Republican since the Civil War to be elected here in this area. So I actually my son was working for me at the time. I said, go work for Jason, go door knocking with Jason. So he and I campaigned, and we just really got deep into politics and loved it. So we started working for that. And then when we did redistricting in 2020, at that point, 2010, excuse me, I've lost my decade, 2010. We redistricted. At that point, I was the Perry County Republican chairman, and it's really involved in politics. And our county committee sent a nice letter to Governor Mike Beebe asking him to keep our county whole when he redistricted in 2010. And in response, Governor Beebe divided our tiny county into 4 different House seats. So all of a sudden we had all these 4 races. I could not believe it. So I lived in a one of those districts. Nobody was running against the Democrat where I lived. I kept calling Doyle Webb and say, Doyle, who's running against this Democrat? We've got to have somebody run against an incumbent Democrat. So anyway. Eventually, I got a call from Doyle and said, Mary, you're running for that seat. So I launched into
Doyle's
politics.
Very good at recruiting people.
I said, Mary, you're right. I said, you squeaking, you're doing it. So anyway, I launched my first campaign in 2011, and I lost that first election in 2012 against that Democrat incumbent. Little did I know that my district had 5% of the votes and my Democrat incumbent had 90% of the votes, and he had lived in that county his whole life. I didn't know, really were clueless about the political arena at that point. So we worked really hard and went door knocked like crazy, and I only lost by 189 votes. It was devastating that day because I thought for sure I was going to win. But anyway, Tim Griffin grabbed me up by my bootstraps and said, Mary, just run again. So I did, and here I am. But anyway, thankful to be in the arena. And I really, when I got elected, had no idea how much we can affect political policy and what we could do for the future and for generations moving forward. And I can say it's been an absolute blessing. I have just loved being able to affect nursing and so many things. I mean, I think you know now, Mindy, everything in our life gets poured back into the legislature when we're there. Every experience we've had, we can use, and just to be able to make
Yes.
a phone call and help my constituents or a small business that's been run over by some red tape. I love it. It's just really great to be able to make an impact for the folks in my district. So there's my
No,
short and
I
sweet
love it.
jump into the political arena.
I love that.
So,
And
but anyway,
I love that
that's
you
it. Yeah.
shared. I love that you shared that you lost your first race. We talked about that on a different podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for people to run and to lose
Yeah.
and then to say, well, come on
Yeah.
back. And you're like, do I really want to do that again? So
Yeah.
I love you are a testament to not only coming back and winning, but being successful and continuing to win and to continuing to move those policies forward. So I thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, you're
So
welcome.
let's jump right into some controversial things. You are not one to shy away from strong bills, and you are,
Yeah.
I will just toot your horn for a second. You are a
Mm.
very strong woman. You know what you believe, which I think is not always common today, but you know who you are, you know what you believe, you know why you believe it, and you are unashamed of what you believe. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
something for a lot of people to admire and to look up to, and especially young women, to say it is okay to stand up for what you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to take some bullets. Mary, you've taken more than your share of bullets,
Yeah.
but you're going to
Well,
take those, but that shouldn't change what you believe, right? So I
right.
think that takes us into the bill that you ran last week that we all call Baby Olivia
Mm-hmm.
bill. And
Yeah.
what is the house number on that?
1180,
Do you know?
HB 1180.
HB 1180, if anyone wants to look it up. So
Mm-hmm.
HB 1180 in
Yeah.
Arkansas. Can you just
Mm-hmm.
tell us first an overall of what that bill is?
Sure. So, as you said, I'm really strong pro-life. It's really been one of the key things. I've been fighting for babies since I was at CVICU. I just love to fight for babies. So that's what we've been doing, fighting for babies. So this bill came from Live Action. I went to a legislative conference with them and saw what some other states were doing with baby Olivia. So really, it's this very simple little 3-minute video that shows how life is developed in the womb. When I was in CVICU, I worked there, and we could back in the early 1980s, date myself, ultrasounds were so like little tiny black and white dots on a screen, and you could say, "Oh, I see this," and I'd say, "Really? I don't see that." But after a while, they've got more and more.
Yeah.
So now we do an ultrasound, and we can see our grandchildren before they get here. It's pretty amazing. I've got a precious granddaughter due the first week of May, so we're excited to get to see what her precious
Congratulations.
face looks like. But we can see now so much detail. We use ultrasound for diagnosing with breast cancer and all those things. So now it's really intricate, and so we can see inside the womb. Where in the past we have not really been able to peek inside the womb. So Baby Olivia gives this kind of a medical, we'll just say it, a detailed story of little baby Olivia from beginning of life at conception all the way till birth. So it just shows how the embryo develops, and just I think all of us are just in amazement and wonder of the human body. I am. I always think the body is just so intricate, and how God, even the eyeball fascinates me. I don't have to get further than that, how that even works. But to watch the embryo develop and to say by weeks how the baby's growing, it just takes away any question about it. So we want to bring this in the classroom in their time when they do their health class and they're going over human development to include fetal development. It's a simple, we asked for a 3-minute ultrasound and a 3-minute baby Olivia to show from conception to birth what happens with the development of the fetus all along the way. Because people hate the word fetal, but it's really just another stage of human development. It's not any different than infant or newborn or toddler or preschooler or teenager. It's just the same as that part of human development. So it just shows. I'm fascinated with that the baby's heart starts beating after 21 days of conception. It's phenomenal. And at 6 weeks, there's 1 billion cells. It just kind of blows your mind. But I think it's great to have kids in awe and wonder of the human body, and not to wonder. I mean, kids wonder all kinds of things in the bathroom or watch things. And unfortunately, we know so many of our kids are exposed to pornography so early. I just think it's really important to show truth. And it's just in a beautiful manner. I love it. I think the video is amazing. Getting
It
a
is
lot of
amazing.
pushback because Live Action is a strong pro-life group, but it's a great video. It was developed by some physicians that even our own Surgeon General Kay Chandler says a very factual video, and she thinks the physicians that she was just telling me yesterday when I was talking about it, Dr. Donna Harrison is a well-known obstetrician and world-known, and she's developed all kinds of textbooks with embryology and fetal development and all those things. So it's
Yeah.
not a crazy film. It's just a very factual, scientific film. I want kids to see it in the classroom. And I think that we are a state that's been the most pro-life state in the nation for 5 years in a row. I think for us
Yeah.
to say we can't show a fetal development video is kind of crazy. So
And it really does
that's
just
it in a
show
nutshell.
that it is an AI film, right? So it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
recreated what would be happening
Correct.
in the womb, and it's from conception. It does not show the actual conception, but it is from the conception to birth, but not the actual birth, right? So it's just the developmental stages. And like you said, it's a 3-minute video, and this is a video that will be shown in public schools to what age kids?
Starting in 6th grade. So the original, I guess we are amending it. I brought it to, let's just backtrack real quick. That's what it shows. We had, we passed it in the House. My House members passed it with 70 votes. I was really excited to have such strong support for such a great, thanks. Thanks, Mindy. I would know I could count on you for a good vote. So we got to the Senate Education Committee, and, politics is a crazy thing. So the Senate end, I say, is where a good bill goes to die, but I'm not going to let this one die. But anyway, there's some landmines. You never know what they've been battling over there, because people think it's not that far down the hall, but this is a totally different place. And so there's always seem to be landmines exploding when I get down there with a bill. So I didn't realize that they had been really strongly discussing where they didn't want sole sources. They wanted to have more than one option for things. So when I bring in a bill that only allows for one option, that disturbs folks. So I've got an amendment ready to bring this next week to the Senate, and that will allow for Baby Olivia and other videos of the same length, 3-minute length, that are approved by the legislature. I just don't want anything thrown out there. I surely don't want Planned Parenthood to set up a video and send that. I want to make sure it's scientifically accurate. We want the truth. So we'll have a review process and rules set in place for the Department of Ed that we can add more videos, and so they can have more options. So give them a little option, gets rid of that sole source idea, puts it into the 6th grade, because that really is when they start talking about organisms and living organisms. That really fits in well with their standards in the 6th grade. And that's pretty much what the amendment does there. Move it to 6th grade, add another option that we approve, and there you go. So we're praying that we can, and also I'm going to bring in some experts. My colleagues in the House are nice enough to trust my medical experience and trust my testimony, but again, you just don't have that relationship in the Senate that you do in the House. So we're going to bring in some medical experts too. It is. It's like, so you got to bring in some experts to verify my opinion. So
in the House, the objections, I think you've addressed them with this amendment, right? There were a couple of objections. One was having a single source to show this, which again, there was no propaganda in the video. It's literally just the scientific development.
It's going to be completely unbranded. Completely unbranded to the schools. Absolutely nothing on there about live action. So
and the age of which kids were watching this, and so you were at 5th grade, you've moved it to 6th grade, and that seems to answer a lot of objections of whether or not kids are old enough to see this, right? Excellent. Okay, so you think this will get passed? When will it be next week in the Senate then?
Have to. As you know, once we get further along in the session, you got to make sure all the ducks in a row, the right people are in the room. So I'm going to hopefully get it run this week. We'll have everybody ready to launch, and when everybody's sitting in place, we'll run it. So anyway, I think we've got some good, continue to visit with Senate members and hear their concerns, and hopefully get all this answered and bring the right people in the room. So there you go. That's what we'll keep moving
I appreciate it.
Forward.
Is there anything else about this bill that people should know?
I just think go and watch it. Jump up on YouTube and type in Baby Olivia and see what you think about it, and go from there. But I think it's
that's a great.
I think we're, I love putting truth in there. We're at a time that we should be showing what truth is to our kids. And why would you not want to see a window in the womb and see what's being developed in there? So it's not a tomato or something. It's actually a baby. It's something that's accurate. Kids think all kinds of crazy things. So
they do. When I got pregnant with my my 4th child, my oldest child said, "Are we having a turtle?" I'm like, "I don't think so. I don't think a turtle's coming out." So you never know what kids think, right? She wanted a turtle, and it wasn't going to happen. All right, so let's move on. Sorry, that's probably too personal. You know me, I just say what I think. It just comes out. So
we're human beings after all, right? Yeah, we do.
It's true. We are human. We did have to have that conversation. Like produces like, right? How's that goes? So you had an amazing, I will say, it was an amazing day for you, because that day on the House, you brought Baby Olivia, and you were one of the very first bills that day. We went through, I don't know, 30 bills or so. And then the very last bill was this other bill. And so your day, you must have just gone home and crashed at the end of this day. But you brought up Senate Bill 3 by Senator Sullivan.
Right.
And this is an anti-discrimination bill. You want to talk about the major purpose of this bill?
It's just end discrimination in Arkansas, pretty much there in a nutshell, and affirmative action. So we've had some, Senator Sullivan did bring the bill last time, but since Senator Sullivan brought this bill that passed in the Senate and failed at the House, we've had some unique things happen, right? So the Supreme Court has ruled affirmative action unconstitutional based on the 14th Amendment. So actually any affirmative action in the state's illegal at this point. So I think it was kind of good to make sure we're not doing illegal activity when it comes
Yeah.
to universities and their acceptance rates. So we went there, and then after that, the president came through, Donald Trump, on the 21st of January, came through with a great executive order ending affirmative action across the nation, and did some great things. So
Yeah.
I just want to say how excited I am to have a conservative in the White House that's doing everything he promised to do and just making such a difference in our state. And I really want him to take a day off once in a while, go golf, because I'm exhausted trying to keep up with
I know
everything he's
you
getting
are.
done. I was like,
I
oh
know
man,
you
stop!
are.
I can't. I'm trying to get things done. But anyway, I am really was really passionate about SB3. I think it's important. I think you and I
Mhm.
both, Mindy. I don't want somebody to say you're successful because you were given extra preference
Yeah.
because you're a woman. No, we work pretty daggum hard, and so it's not that we're given preferential treatment. And I've gotten some critics saying that we've just ignored the horrible things that have happened in Arkansas, but we don't. We know it was
Mhm.
horrible, it was hateful, and some of the testimony given on the House floor really it hurt my heart. I hate that segregation was a
Yeah.
part of our state's history, but we can't just live there, right? Let's move forward. Let's go on. And I think that I have worked really hard, and I wish all should work really hard to end racism. And we can't. I wish we could just pass a law and there's no more racism, but that's in the human heart. So what can we do to move things forward, to treat everybody equally, and to understand we have pockets of people in critical need all over the state, and let's help everybody, regardless. What doesn't matter what the race or sex, whatever. Let's help everybody. And so there's a purpose of the bills to make sure that we're equally helping those folks, no matter where they live, that are in critical need areas, give them some help, and to make sure we're ending affirmative action that's been
So
already
talk.
ruled unconstitutional.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So let's not gloss over that. The Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional to have affirmative
Hmm.
action, and so you were really
Yeah,
lining up Arkansas law with what the law of the land
correct.
is. Correct?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I just want to
exactly what
drive
it
that point
was.
home.
Yeah,
And then the second thing is,
right.
in this bill, you changed some words to be areas of critical need, right? Can you
Yeah,
define that? Can you dig
right.
down just a little bit more on that term?
Well, it's just, we have areas in our, so I think critical need could be like, we have places in the state like the Delta where they're so,
Mm-hmm.
so underserved with a lot of, and I have very rural parts of my state that are very underserved where they don't have I mean, if you're living in Little Rock, your access to health care is so much greater than what I have in my district. I mean, they can
Yeah,
get on public transportation, they have physicians everywhere. I have one physician. If the women in my district have to travel an hour to get to see an OB, and
that's
if they're not
amazing.
already a if they're not already seeing, they're not already a patient, a current patient from the OB, it can take a year to get an appointment. It's crazy. So we have to
That is
understand that we
amazing.
have, limited access for all different things across our state, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I have a lot of poultry farms in my district, so we have a
Hmm.
huge Hispanic population. So, I want everybody. I don't care what their skin color is. I want them to have options in education. I want them to have those areas focus on, and this shouldn't matter what
And
color
that
their
is
skin is. I know
truly right.
people.
And that is,
So, yeah.
yeah, that's truly what you're doing here is saying
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was a false
Mhm.
narrative of if you're this race or this gender, you need the extra help.
Mhm.
When in reality, we
Right.
need to go to the people who need the extra help, regardless of what
Yeah.
gender or
Yeah.
race, nationality
Yeah.
they are. I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
So on the floor, there was some discussion. People came down and spoke against the bill and talked about basically that these historically marginalized communities would be continue to be
Mhm.
discriminated against without these quotas in place. You want to address that just
Well,
a little bit?
yeah, I think if people actually read the bill, we actually give them more power to say they're being discriminated against. We give a civil
Yeah.
cause of action in there. So if you feel like you've been discriminated against, you actually have more power, and your lawyer fees paid for. I think it actually gives you more power,
Yeah.
and it really rules out discrimination no matter who you are and where you are in the state. That you have ability to to say I'm being discriminated against and file a civil lawsuit, which again you get your lawyer fees paid for. So I think it actually empowers people to make sure we have less discrimination in our state. Honestly, I think it's and I think we both know some people scream discrimination when there is none, and that really hurts the cause. So now we'll be able to focus on those areas that really are being discriminated against. So, and just say because I'm a different color, I'm discriminated. It's not necessarily so. So let's make sure we're fine tuning and targeting it specifically to the areas that people are being discriminated against.
I think that's great. And we still have our civil rights laws. So you're not doing away
Yeah,
with
right, sure.
any of
Yeah,
those laws, right?
exactly right.
All we're saying is let's
Yeah,
take the government resources and put them in the areas of greatest need, not just say
yeah,
because you're African American, you that whole group of people need it's where do we have the need, regardless of your
exactly. Right.
color or gender, right? Yeah, I think that's
Specifically
great. But
right.
I
Yeah.
want to be sure people do
Mm-hmm.
know We're not doing away with anti-discrimination law. People are not
Yeah.
allowed to
No,
discriminate
right.
against people. This is
Right.
just
Yeah.
delegation
Right.
of
Those strong
resources.
laws are, yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest point. Those strong civil cause of action are still in place. So also,
Yeah.
I think I was really surprised about the discussion that came forth from folks saying that somehow we're going to do away with rights helping disabled Arkansans. That just, I tore my heart up for people to think somehow I would pass a law that would hurt
Yes.
disabled Arkansans. And we have the American Disabilities Act. This does not touch that federal law in any form or fashion. Those kids that need special help are going to still continue to get that special help they need. And maybe we'll have more resources available to help them even more than we have in the past because we're not wasting unnecessary funds. That's my hope, that we could target those
Yeah.
things. But there's absolutely nothing in SB 3 that does away with the American Disability Act. It's still strongly in place. And I took time to, we have great, I think I'm really proud of our governor and the people that she's brought to Arkansas. One of those Secretary Leva with our Department of Education, such a great man, such full of knowledge and just really a heart for our kids. And so I reached out to him after that was brought to my attention. I said, Secretary Leva, promise me that we're not doing anything to hurt our kids. And he just assured me again that it has nothing to do with that. There would be no way that would stop those kids' IEPs or their 504s or their special plans to help those kids succeed. So anyway, I
That's
think
good.
I was surprised about that discussion. The folks that thought somehow this was affecting that, but you never know. You never know. Politics is a crazy thing, and something's you think it's going to be really simple. Like I thought baby Livy would be really simple, so it wouldn't be a problem. But you just never know what's going to get
You
brought
don't
up on the
know.
floor. So
Well, I
yeah,
appreciate you
yeah.
clarifying that. I did get a lot of emails from people about the disabilities and making sure they weren't losing
Mm-hmm.
those. So I appreciate you bringing that up and just clarifying that those laws are
Yeah.
still in place. Those kids are still covered. This
Yep.
is a
Yeah.
very narrow area that we're targeting. So that's great.
Yeah. And
Okay,
an
so
area that's
before
been
I let you,
proven unconstitutional. So yeah.
it is. That's exactly right. So we're
Yeah.
just lining up with
Yeah.
the U.S. Constitution, U.S. law.
Mm-hmm.
So are there, I know you've got more bills coming up. Do you want to touch base on any of the ones that you've got coming or that you've passed that you're particularly fond of this
Yeah,
session?
well, well, I'm really excited to get to be the vice chair of Children, Age, and Youth and Military Affairs Committee. But anyway, one of the biggest things I'm really wanting to make sure, I think right now we have a great governor, we have a good legislature that makes sure that foster parents and adoptive parents are not in any way discriminated against because of their religious beliefs. But we see all over the nation, unfortunately, those folks are being prohibited from being foster parents or adoptive parents. So I'm working on some legislation now to make sure that when we're gone, because we're not going to be here forever, then we're going to have statutes in place to make sure it protects religious freedom of great. We want foster parents that love the Lord to be able to foster kids, and I want people to adopt as well. So we're going to put some working on a bill now to make sure that we have that in place even when we're gone. So
That
and
is
some other
great.
things, yeah. And just continue to work with workforce and nursing. I'm really excited about some things that we're doing there. So just passed a bill. Sometimes you pass a little bill, things that doesn't affect a lot, but MAC bill that we start to help medical assistants be developed in a nursing home and just a career track for women and folks to be able to do earn as you learn, and folks that are in poverty areas to go from making 17 an hour to 34 an hour and never leave the nursing home. I'm loving it that we're going to be able to make CNAs just earn as you learn up to an LPN new program we're starting. So those are fun things I always love to see what we can do to help economic development
Well, you've done a
across the
lot
state. So
in nursing. You've done a lot in
mhm.
expanding the scope of practice for nurse
Yeah,
practitioners, and you've really done a lot to try and help get care into rural areas, right? So you
yeah,
can't always get
it's
a doctor
important.
or a hospital out there, but to get
Right.
people who are
Hmm.
qualified. I think you ran a bill on doulas as well. Is that correct?
Well, that's part of what we did with the maternal health bill. So,
Okay. Yeah.
we're the worst in the nation when it comes to maternal health, and it's just you got to figure out what's going wrong. So, in 2019, we passed a bill to establish the Maternal Mortality Review Committee and the Quality Review Committee to say, okay, what's going on? We can't fix it if we don't know what's broken. So that went into place. Then we had COVID, right? So COVID kind of delayed things a little bit to getting the data back that we needed to make a difference. So now we're finally to a point we know what's happening in our state. We know we need to fix it, and we're doing a number of things to help get folks the help they need to make sure we have healthy moms. We're 48th in the nation in health, and you can't expect to have unhealthy women be healthy moms. It's not going to happen. So, what can we do to get people healthy in our state? Always working on that. Love to make sure we can get our state healthier, because when we look at our Medicaid spending, the only way to really adjust that to me is if we get people healthier. and to get people wealthier, right, too. Let's get people a job, let's get them healthy, and that's what's going to bring costs down in Medicare, because it's just going through the roof. So excited about who we've got in on DC with Robert F. Kennedy going on there
Yeah.
with some health, and what we've got so many people and great things. So I'm working on some stuff with farm to school. I'll be trying to expand that every year and make sure we're working on that and local foods and get some healthy food for our folks to eat. So I appreciate your time.
That's
This is
great.
great. I really it's a lot going on. We'll see what all we can get done before April gets here. So
Oh, that's great. Well, Mary, thank you so much, or Representative Bentley,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on today. I just
Oh,
always enjoy spending time with you and hearing the great things that
you
you're
too,
doing.
Fred.
So thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. Have a wonderful weekend. Appreciate it.
Thanks, you too. Take care now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, it is such a pleasure for me to work with Representative Bentley. She is truly committed to protecting and improving the lives of women, children, and families. As you've heard today, she's done a lot of amazing bills to really move forward and to provide health care in areas where it's difficult to get health care. She has never been one to shy away from tough legislation. Today, we talked about a couple of bills that she's worked really hard on this session. The first was Baby Olivia, which is a video that shows the fetal development of a baby in the womb. And we're showing it to sixth graders in the state of Arkansas. If she can get it through the Senate, and hopefully she will this next week. Most people agree that showing the miraculous development of a fetus is scientifically sound and beneficial education for students. One of the main concerns that people had, though, again, was what was the appropriate age. And we heard that she has made an amendment to that. I believe that this is clear science, and it is miraculous to see all the stages of development that a baby goes through. And I appreciate that Senate Representative Bentley brought that, and I did vote for that bill. The second bill that we discussed was the anti-discrimination bill. And this one had a lot of controversy surrounding it because people didn't necessarily understand what was going on. The basis of the bill was to prohibit any discrimination by public entities based on race, sex, color, ethnicity, national origin. Arkansas, a lot of people don't know, but Arkansas has been on the forefront of anti-discrimination policies from 1955 when Hoxie, Arkansas became one of the first Southern school districts to desegregate its public schools. And they did it voluntarily because they firmly believed it was the right thing to do, all the way up to the Little Rock Nine, who became a symbol of the battle of desegregation in the late 1950s. Anti-discrimination is really an important topic in Arkansas. And with the passage of Senate Bill 3, Arkansas is reinforcing its stand against any form of discrimination by public entities. Yes, discrimination will still exist because we can't legislate what's in someone's heart. But it's always good to give people the chance to do the right thing. And I think that's what this bill does. So thank you again for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next week in the arena.